See myself. What's going on, guys? This is Ronan. I hope everybody's having an excellent evening tonight. I hope you guys are doing well. I am here with Giant Swan, and yeah, we're super excited about this, man. Thank you so much for coming on tonight.
Yeah, hey guys, thank you for having me. I'm pretty stoked. Yeah, man.
Yep. So, for everybody who's here, obviously this is the first week that we're doing the artist series. Giant Swan was kind enough to be our first guest, and thank you again to our partnership with Nifty Gateway. We appreciate the guys very much for allowing us to do this for them and kind of get the hype going for this excellent stream that we've got coming up or the excellent drop rather that you guys have coming up tomorrow. So why don't you tell me a little bit about yourself, Swan? Like, tell us a little history as far as how you got into art. Do you come from traditional art, or
Yeah,
is
I guess, like a lot of artists, man, I grew up with a pen in my hand and lots of drawing as a kid and kind of grew into cosplay scenes in my early 20s, mucking around, learning to make props and stuff. Studied game design and art in university and failed at that, man. When you're good at art, a lot of people tell you how you're going to succeed at that. And for a long time, I kind of just traveled a path that was kind of assumed. And yeah, I fell into normal jobs. And then one day I tried VR, and my friends checked out something that I made in there, and it was such a vivid reaction that it kind of put me back on the path. And ever since then, man, I've been chasing those reactions.
oh wow, that's awesome, very cool. So we went kind of straight into VR. That's kind of like your first, like, as far as selling art and that kind of experience is new for you.
Yeah, 100%. So that was late 2016, early 2017. And it took me about a year until I could afford my own headset. And then the following 9 months after that was just a whole lot of learning and creating until I could get to a point where I started connecting with people that were really encouraging me to get off my ass and kind of make something special out of it.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I totally understand how that is. Sometimes I need a little nudge myself, right?
Yeah.
So I'm interested. Like, so obviously you needed a little nudge. Did that go straight into crypto art, or did you start elsewhere? Did you do like some prints or any work like that?
Yeah. So my first gig ever was it all started after a drunken night at a bar here in Melbourne called the Corner Hotel.
Okay.
See this band called the Smith Street Band, and at the time, they're probably my favorite band. They're like anthemic kind of Australian punk rock, and I come home well liquored up and still in a bit of a mood, and I jump in VR and just kind of create some of their album art to their music, and then call it a day, and I crash. About 3 or 4 weeks after that, I got some like random likes on that piece, and
Mhm.
I had suspicions that it was actually members of that band. And then another few weeks pass, and I get a call from this guy saying he's their manager. And within a month of that call, I was in front of 50,000 people, and my art was playing behind them at a really big festival here called Falls Festival. And then that toured around the country for a while. So to go from like not really knowing if you have anything to offer to where you get inspiration from, literally dragging you out and putting you in front of heaps of people, man, it changed my life, dude.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine. I think it's like literally overnight you go from like not knowing what you're trying to do to like actually having an opportunity to like put your art out there. So that's really
Yeah.
exciting, man, and good for you and having that opportunity. So did you get to like you got to go and see your art like up and like at that show you said?
Yeah, I went there. It was New Year's Eve, so Had to scrap all the plans and ditch my friends, which kind of sucked. But my goodness, what a night! Um, and then, yeah, I mean, like that opened a lot of doors for me, man. When people around you believe in you and you start to hear that,
Mhm.
you start creating and taking opportunities that you can, and that really spurred me on. Those boys, they check in with me every now and then, see how I'm going. So, yeah, it's really cool.
Very cool. Yeah, so you got to like spend some time with the band and kind of get to know them. That's very awesome, man. I think
Hmm.
that taking advantage of that is awesome. So you get your opportunity, your first crack, right? You get this amazing opportunity to have your piece of art like put up, and for a band that obviously you vibe with and you enjoy. Like what comes after that? Like how do you like follow that up?
It's a good question, man. Um, and it took some trial and error. Like, uh, yeah, at that point, I'm still working a normal job, and I'm looking at it as, hey, if I do this, I can earn some extra money. This will be great. And what it also did was familiarized other people in the Australian music scene to um, kind of accept me because they could see that the boys were behind me.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so there was some experimenting and stuff. I mixed in with the hip hop crowd here in Australia. Um, some gigs worked out, others didn't. But eventually, I hit a artist residency in the Nicholas Building in Melbourne, which is kind of like our cultural arts hub, and it's been that way for 60 years or something silly like that. And it's this studio that's filled with freelancers and artists and filmmakers and directors. And that place is like fertilizer, right? They start teaching me how to conduct myself, how to how to really grow, how to see myself as a professional, and treat my art the right way, and what instincts to follow, and how to deal with clients and stuff. So all this all this time between that, the band giving me that kickoff, um, start collecting people around me that are supporting what I wanted to do. And eventually you start, it's like you become a magnet for it, and you can't really avoid it. For some of the other things that I was learning at that time as well was I made stuff to music, and that really I didn't understand at the time, but I realized that movement was really key to what I was making and why it looked different. So my relationship to music kind of reignited, and I started mining music for inspiration constantly when I was using VR tools. Over time, that would mature into my work now, and yeah, I think it really set me up for success later on.
Wow, man, that's really cool. I find a lot of inspiration from music myself, and I can definitely like connect with that. Like, I can understand how that like can drive you. And like looking through your early Instagram and stuff, I did realize that a lot of the pieces that you had up, whether you had, the still frames or not, there was always like a piece that accompanied it that had music to it. Um, I thought that was really cool. In those earlier like Instagram pieces, like some of the ones that stuck out for me were like last year you did an Inktober video, which is really dope. And at the beginning of that, right, like you're kind of going through like your Inktober, all your sketches
Yeah.
from the month and putting them together, and seeing that was really cool. So I was curious, like, do you do the music as well in those pieces, or is that something
No,
that like you're kind of okay?
no. So at this time, I'm like connecting with the lo-fi community a lot.
Mhm.
Um, I was getting little gigs here and there, working with those guys, and I got to a point where they kind of really embraced me. So when Inktober last year rolled around, it was like an opportunity to just kind of spread the tentacles out and connect with as many artists as I could, get a little inspired, and kind of tap into all the noise that we could make. By the end of it, I think it really transcended what I expected of of that whole exercise. I mean, you get an Inktober and you're like, oh man, it's a prompt list. What can I make out of this? This prompt says fish, and by the end of it, man, it was really transformative, and it kind of changed my perspective on collaboration and um, how important it is to sink time into things as well.
Right, right. Yeah, I mean the work is absolutely like stunning, and thankfully Buff picked that up real quick and played the clip for us. And it's interesting because I feel like your work has really evolved. I feel like you kind of have styles. Like scrolling through your Instagram, I noticed when you were doing Inktober last year, it's definitely different from when you started doing these almost like the strokes that are almost like muscular humans, and then you kind of have evolved now from that to what you're doing on your new Nifty drop that comes tomorrow. Is that something that you have found? Like, do you go through phases, like where you kind of you once you kind of evolve into something new, you kind of leave whatever you're doing behind, or do you just feel like it's just natural evolution of your art?
Um, a big thing I like to work by is embracing all of your inspirations and your influences. You can't be at odds with that. You need to. Well, for me, I excel when I embrace those things the most. So that Inktober, I mean, like it looks all inky and drawn because I'm pulling from artists that inspire me. Like Jamie Hewlett. There's one in there that's like clearly a gorilla's character is sitting on a tongue. Um, like Jamie Hewlett's art has been in my life since I was, like 13 or whatever. Um, yeah, like progressing into my own language. I mean, that's how you build. That's how you build artist language, right? You start with something, you make it your own, and then you grow from that. And I think a lot of my early process where I'm mimicking others' art and finding the parts that work for me and become part of myself. Like I look at this stuff right now, man, and I still see it in my recent work. It just aesthetically looks really different. I still draw the same. You can see like all the veins and stuff. I still move the same way with my arms, moving around the studio or at home. Yeah, there's a growth there that's super important. To yeah.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I think that like the fact that you kind of point out like when you're doing your VR art, you're moving and like you're using your body, and the, like you said earlier, the way that you actually are kind of throwing your entire physical being into it like definitely has an effect on the art, and I feel like you can tell in a lot of the work that you do. So that definitely comes across. Do you, obviously we've learned that, previous art or music inspires you. Do you find inspiration from like any other places specifically? Like, do you, I don't know, do you read certain types of books or anything like that to like draw inspiration?
Oh man, like I'm a massive pop culture geek. I mean, I've got like a there's a giant like cable statue just behind me here from the X-Men.
Yes.
Um, he's sick. He's massive. Like
Yeah.
comics and all that are really big influences on my work. I spent many years of my life being an absolute Lord of the Rings nerd. Um, like I love nature and traveling. I love camping, all sorts of stuff. Being a big emo, I love music, and that's how I process life in general. So putting all those things into art, I kind of find this little space where um, experience and little worlds can grow and tell stories through that means instead of kind of linear. I like to
Hmm.
provide people the space to explore because that's something that I enjoy in all the things that I draw inspiration from.
Right. Yeah, I think that's excellent. I was looking at the previews that you put out yesterday and some of the stuff that you sent over, and to me, I just could imagine like being in the world and really like having the opportunity to explore that. And I think that's where crypto, like and digital art, really changes the game, and it's kind of like an evolution, right, of where art was going and where it's going now. And being able to put that and bring someone into a world that you create is really exciting. And I think that is a perfect segue kind of into what you are doing now, because it's definitely different from what you've done before. And the best way like I can describe it is like, you kind of go into this really beautiful scene that you created, but then you've got like these almost like creatures there. So I'd love to hear about how like you kind of like evolved into that out of, because a lot of your recent stuff is very, very human, very, seeing the face and seeing the muscle and seeing those strokes that you use to create the body, is very defining for you, especially the colors. So, and this was definitely different. And I'd love to hear about how you kind of found that.
Yeah, so I guess this new series is kind of me looping back to a while there where I was animating ambient worlds to music and kind of bringing everything I've learned between then and now to this kind of new thing, right? And it obviously looks way better than stuff that I've done before in that kind of tone. But yeah, along the way, you're always collecting new skills, always growing, always finding new ways to make what your vision is. And this series is me really collecting the last year of experience and pouring it into an aspect of my work that I haven't been exploring recently. And yeah, hopefully, like we get to watch this kind of grow for a little bit as well. It doesn't mean it's the end for my more human work and stuff. It's just another avenue that really interests me at the moment.
Excellent, excellent. So, have you like kind of come up with a name or like a theme for what you're creating right now? That's
Yeah, so
beautiful.
this set of four is I've titled it "When I Wander, I Wonder," and I guess it's about that exploration. It's about these places that are like a dream, right? My goal is like my overarching goal when people see my work is I want them to feel like they've either like witnessed a dream or they've experienced it, and this is another avenue for that. And I think it's probably more vivid. In recent times, I haven't been animating, and mostly because I can't justify it. I really love the pursuit of capturing a still frame and being able to fill it with well, a feeling or a vibe or something for people to explore, and not just putting it in there because it can. Um, and at the moment, I guess with this stuff going back to environment, I want to kind of bring the experience back into some of my video work so that, like as it kind of moves around, you can explore it a bit more or just take it in. Because there's another aspect to it all too, and that's with the crypto stuff. You're looking to bring something to an audience, so you can't just keep doing the same thing over and over again, which is a great uh, motivation to continue to push your limits in your craft. And I've lost, can't hear anything.
Can you
Oh,
hear me now?
I can hear you again.
Sorry,
Oh,
my computer. If I click a certain program, sometimes it swaps my audio. It's horrible. So you said
that's
you've
okay.
got four drops coming tomorrow, four pieces. Do you know like what your distribution is going to be on those?
Yeah, so there's going to be an addition of 20, a 10, a 5, and one for that'll probably go to an auction.
Right, right. Very cool. Very cool. How do you feel like leading up to a drop? Like I imagine like your nerves are probably like all over the place. Do you really worry, or do you like get anxious and sit and watch and wait for it to go live, or what's that feel like for Giant Swan?
Being an artist is living in anxiety. Uh, and crypto art is one of these things where technically your last sale could be your last sale. You just don't know. Um,
Right.
and I like to operate at that kind of tension because it forces me to commit to either my next work or what I'm minting. Um, so nothing to waste. But for a drop like this, there's a few things that I wouldn't say stress me out, but I get really nervous about, and I've probably sent previews of this workout to more people than usual.
Mm,
And that's because I know it's a shift in aesthetic and delivery. It's not always what people expect from me. Not exactly. I think after a few moments with it, it kind of you can tell it's my work again. But yeah, I've done that before. Like you were talking about my phases on my Instagram, man. Social media didn't like it when I stopped animating and then I was doing these high end renders and stills. That my audience went quiet on me for like a good month. It took ages. Uh,
oh,
yeah, so that was kind of nerve wracking. I mean, you teach your audience to expect one thing from you, and then if you do another, it can be a little bit nervy. But that's where I really like to share as much about me as possible. I mean, I'm not super influencer friendly or anything, but um, I like to be accessible and upfront about what I'm doing. So people can kind of travel between my works and, they can vibe with whatever they like, but still get it
yeah.
at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I definitely think that like, going through the Instagram and stuff, I think that I could see that. I could see where you went from like the animations and the tilt brush stuff, and then you kind of went to the high end renders. But like you said, when you sent the previews for the new thing, it was like that beginning, like it was just the shot of like it kind of coming into the meadow. And then it kind of like starts to go in. And as it kind of came in, it went from, okay, this is kind of new. Like, what exactly is this, to being like, oh, this is Giant Swan. Like, and I think that, like you said, like you can definitely see, like we're seeing some stuff from your earlier tilt brush stuff, which I absolutely love. By the way, like some of your animations. There's one with that he played a minute ago. The girl standing in the street, and it's so like peaceful. I could let it play in the background forever. But yeah, you can definitely like see the difference, and but when you look at your new piece, it's Giant Swan, like definitely 100%. And so, with that said, obviously, do you think that do you do you find that it is? I'm trying to think of the word I'm trying to look for. Do you feel like that's restrictive as an artist, or do you just kind of ignore the static, or take your anxiety pills when people go silent for a month? Like how do you feel about that? Do you feel like you just have to keep producing, or you do it like you just kind of do as you feel and hope people like it?
Um, I think I got the question. So you're asking about like social media anxiety, right?
Well,
Um,
yeah, like do you feel like you're pressured to continue, like did you hold on to the tilt brush animation thing a little too long because you felt like that's what
oh no,
your buyers
all
wanted,
that,
or
all that is all that is informed, and that progression over time is me saying, "Can we do this?" and then
Mhm.
doing it. Like things that the VR scene were doing 2 years ago, we didn't think that we'd be able to push it to where we're pushing it right now. If you just showed me the piece that I'm showing you guys today, if you showed me that 3 years ago, I would have laughed at you. Um, and that's kind of the fun of being at the top end of technology and art, and at a really interesting crossroad where the trends and workflows that people discover every day could be what young people are using years from now, or they're all different standards. Like those high end renders coming out of Tiltbrush weren't a thing for a long time. Like we didn't even know how to get it looking that way,
Right.
and it wasn't. Like yeah, it's as much a exploration of the tech as much as it is my art as well. Like the pursuit of more is always driving what I want to do. And you can see it in the rendering too, like as my own personal skill set adjusts to where I finally get the VR work to plug into.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
yeah, so it's a positive experience pushing through all that and bringing in you, hey guys, check it out, we can do this now.
Very much, very much. And that's what's cool, kind of being newer to the space, is seeing how this is progressing so very quickly. And just seeing, when I came into the space, you had one kind of very distinct style, and it was that, the humans and that. And now, like, to get to see you transition to something new is really cool. And I think that's a part of crypto that, a part of the crypto moving so quickly that I appreciate, right? Because it's like you get to see so many people evolve.
Oh
So
yeah.
it's excellent to be able to see like this and see you like do something like that. One of the things that came to mind when I like looked at the scene and how you set it up just so beautifully, like, have you ever done any like crypto voxel builds or anything like that, where you do like a straight up build and then like maybe you're selling the build, or have you done anything like that where you're creating that
um,
scene or so for your art?
for me, and this is where I'll sound a little bit stuffy, I don't see my work as somewhere you would bring an avatar. I want to
Okay.
bring the people into my work. So, and I've said it a few times before in the past, and it's coming pretty soon. But the VR worlds will be their own little pocket experience that people can collect and then to create their own little experiences in. But I think like a crypto voxels build or something, like there's people that do amazing stuff there. They make awesome hubs that uh, look amazing, but they function as social hubs that inspire and stuff and lift the mood, or like host heaps of people. That stuff
Mm.
to me is amazing, and I'd love to do that one day. Um, I just don't know where it would fit in with my current work, where I bring that straight in.
Mhm.
But as a vessel to host art and stuff like that, I absolutely love it. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that the VR and where we're going with like the metaverse and social spaces,
Hmm.
absolutely brings a different level of experience when it comes to art. So that's
Yeah.
why I was kind of curious. The first thing that I thought of when you sent that video of your new scene is just like how cool, because I bought a Quest a couple months ago, to kind of play around with art, and I was like, how cool would it be if you actually like had that scene, you could jump into it in Tilt Brush and like zoom in and see like the details and stuff like that.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think that, obviously some people do some art like that, and some people, like you said, you would prefer to show someone that experience, which is, I think, excellent. What an artist is trying to convey is very important. And I think that obviously art is to be, defined by the viewer, right? But I also feel like art is, it's very personal. So to
Hmm.
see and hear that from you is really, really cool. So tell me like a little bit about, and well, then we can kind of shift away from the Nifty Gateway part of this. But what is what is, I guess, your favorite part of partaking in like a drop like that? Like, do you like to kind of get out and hammer and let people know you've got a drop coming, and like, trying to see like, are you competitive? Are you trying to see if you can sell out, quickly? Like, what is it that you get from Nifty Gateway that keeps you like kind of coming back to that experience? Because I think they have an excellent platform, and I think that the way that they handle their drops and their distribution is really well done.
Nifty Gateway have an amazing asset in that they have their own audience that really really excited about their whole platform and all the artists that they bring in.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, it's super exciting to bring that audience work who I might not always connect with on other platforms, whether social media or other crypto art. Um, so it's really cool to go, hey, like to just bring fresh eyes onto work, and then see the reactions and stuff's really exciting. For me, talking up and showing previews of the art and stuff. I mean, you got to hustle. Every artist has to hit the pavement. You're the only person that's going to back yourself every time you have something to say. So I revel in those opportunities, because yeah, I mean, you've got to do it. It's so it's such a busy scene that you need to show that it's hard to show your passion, right? Like,
Right.
um, yeah, and your consistency. It's easy to fake being an artist. Anyone can be an artist. You can just say, yeah, I make art. Here's my art.
Mm.
But uh, conveying, especially like at the moment with social media and stuff, you need to really show that you're doing that you live and breathe this. Like I want people to know I make art because I have to, not because I'm here for Ethereum or to make a sale. So yeah, it's
That's
exciting,
awesome.
man.
Yeah, very cool. That I've actually because I'm a huge fan of Josie and I think that she does excellent interviews. I saw an
Yeah,
interview with a couple of people because I was like, okay, let me see how like she handles her interviews. Like this is the first time I'm doing something like this. And one of the
nice.
things that I actually heard, two out of the three, is that artists feel like they have to create, like, and that is an excellent thing to hear, obviously, because you want to know that there's a genuine person behind the art. At least I do, and some people just don't care. But getting an opportunity to chat with you and hear about your story and hear about your history and what drives you, right, like, is very important to me as a buyer of art.
Yeah,
So I think that that's a really good point to make. And it's really nice to hear that, like, it's just something you have to do. You just have to create, which is super exciting. So real quick,
yeah.
just for the
Well,
chat. I'm sorry, just real quick.
no, you're right.
Chat, if anybody does have any questions, you in about 5 minutes, we'll probably do a little Q&A with Giant. That way, you guys can have a little interaction. So you can feel free to post those up. We'll get those on the screen and we'll get those answered for you. But you can go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're right. Yeah, I think you bring up a really good point there because I think something really unique to the crypto art scene at the moment is the relationships that collectors are making with art and artists. I think it's a really rich experience that a lot of people are finding a lot of value in, and I think it really does inform so much of what people are doing and how they're managing to sell their art to each other and
Mhm.
all that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
definitely find it's a uniqueness of this space is like I said, I'm kind of new. I got into it in May, but already I've
Mhm.
just been able to talk to, any artist that I've reached out to. I've been able to talk to like any lead of any project, CEOs,
Yeah.
whatever. And I think that that's excellent because it creates community. And I'm a big community guy. I
Yeah.
think that like community is very important, and I would imagine for an artist, it's even more important, right? Like your collectors are,
Totally.
are one thing, but like having like your community and your cheerleaders, obviously is very important. That's one of those things. I don't know if you've had an opportunity to listen to the Pranksy interview that came out a few days ago, but it's excellent because he talks about just that. Like you have to be on your grind, right? Like you have to be on Twitter, you have to
Hmm.
be on Discord. Those places are so hot for crypto art. So I think that's very important, and I think that's for anybody. If you're a collector of art, if you're a creator of art, get your Twitter up, get your Discord running, because it's very helpful. And in this space, you can literally reach out and talk to anybody, which is excellent. And I think it does create a little bit more of just a closer connection, right, between buyer
Hmm.
and sellers, and you really get to know some people that way. So it's an excellent space to be in,
Yeah.
and to be able to do that. Let me see if I had any other questions. Um, I think that was mainly like the main stuff that I had. I think that we did get one question in chat so far. Ari asked, what VR equipment do you recommend?
Yeah, so VR equipment is kind of like buying a phone where you can spend as much money as you want on a VR setup and they'll take it. They'll take all your money. I personally, I use any modern gaming PCs are gonna have you covered, and high-end laptops are gonna look after you as well. The only thing you need to double check for are your ports to make sure that you match up to what you have on the rig that you're gonna use. Um, I personally love my Rift S, which will be discontinued in no time,
I
but
heard.
Uh, it's seriously my favorite headset because you can thrash it around. It's super comfortable. It's super light and it's so easy. It's just the easiest headset I've used. And I own Vives. I've worked with indexes. I've even got PSVR right here.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
I've got uh, I've got the Quest 2 here. I've got to link that up. I'm a bit hesitant about making that my main headset. It's not that comfortable. It's pretty heavy.
Um,
Um, and that's comparing it to my Rift S. It's all blinged out with its all the extra stuff on it. Um,
yeah, that
yeah,
picture that you sent is really cool.
yeah, yeah. That's the performance get up. So when I can get out in public and draw, that's you got to lean into the fantasy, man. Like you want people
Yeah.
to see what you're doing and kind of
Do you
not look like you have a brick on your face. But yeah,
right?
the good gear, man. Like the Rift S, you can snap one of them up for $500, and you're laughing, man. Like that's a cheap headset. That's good. Don't worry about the reviews. Everyone who complains about them, they're usually a bit more passionate, and they've probably spent a few $1,000s on the Valve Index or something like that.
Right. Yeah. So that you actually brought up something during that I thought about asking you earlier and I didn't get a chance. So you work in a studio. Do you use like a lot of space while you're painting? Are you like one of those that like you're like moving? I saw a video of someone doing it live yesterday, and I
Yeah,
was like, wow, like this chick is like into it.
yeah. So I, yeah, I have a desk that's been creeping. I kind of push it a little bit. I get the room I need though. Like that's the whole point of that whole studio is there for people to use. So me moving around is probably distracting as hell when other people are there. But yeah, I get the room to move. And yeah, it's good. It's a good place to separate like leaving home and then going in there to work. Just puts you in the right mind frame. And I just skate in, so
Oh,
super
that's
good
cool.
mood once you're there as well. So yeah,
Yeah, get some nice fresh air. That sounds perfect. Very cool.
yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool.
Hard to complain
Um,
about life when you're doing that.
I know, right? And like that's such an important part. Like getting out and like getting some sun and some nice air in the morning is always helpful.
Hmm.
And that instantly makes me think of what is it, R Dog 420 or whatever, the guy who went viral for the skateboarding and the drink. Dude, I put on his videos and he's so happy, and probably because
Yeah,
he's skateboarding to work and getting some air and drinking his
yeah.
juice.
No kidding. Keep it simple,
Yeah.
man.
Exactly, right? Yeah, it's what life should be about, honestly.
Yeah.
What about a good platform to kind of start playing around with VR, like art? What would you suggest, like somebody kind of play with Tilt Brush or?
I'd I'd tell anyone to get into Tilt Brush, mostly because it's very user friendly. You'll grow to hate it, but you'll have a lot of fun in the meantime. Until then, it's got a lot of flashiness. It doesn't look great. It hasn't aged well, and I'm pretty sure Google aren't funding it anymore. But it's
Oh,
well, yeah, yeah. I think they might have cut back. I'm sure there's people still there, but yeah, it's the approachable way to start learning about why you use why are you using VR? Because it's not good enough that you make art and you go, well, it's VR art because I made it in VR. Like no one cares.
Right.
Um, it's got to be a reason why. So you know, you get into something easy like tilt brush, you move around and then make stuff. Simple as that, man. And then you have a blast with it from there.
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah. And I definitely have to like echo that. Tilt Brush was the first app that I used when I got into VR. And I look, I don't have an art bone in my body. I've always just kind of like had this thing about like wanting to try to create things. Like it never comes
Yeah,
out
yeah.
looking very good. But I definitely tried in Tilt Brush, and I thought it was an excellent program. And it definitely, for me, just felt like natural, right? Like, and it felt like this is how
Mm-hmm.
you create art with your body, like almost like body painting in a way.
Yeah.
So I definitely agree. I actually played around. So I went from Tilt Brush and then I went into Medium, and I started messing with
Mm-hmm.
Medium and doing like sculptures and stuff. And
Yep.
honestly, like I really need to put in more work there because I feel like that is more the way my brain works. Like I can take a simple
Yeah.
shape and then pull it and morph it and twist it and do those things to get it to be what I
Mm-hmm.
want it to be a lot easier than creating it from scratch. So I would, Ari, I would definitely say like if you're kind of into that stuff, maybe check out Medium as well. It's a really cool program to try as well. Let's see. Can't wait to Easy in Crypto says he can't wait to get a headset. Yeah, it's very, very cool. And it's a very cool experience. And there's so much fun to like have in VR. So that brings me kind of to a question. Like you said that, Tilt Brush is not aging very well. Are all your work still in Tilt Brush?
No, no. I
No.
avoid it as much as possible. Yeah.
Okay.
Uh, I love it because I can I can turn it on and I can make something really quickly. But
Mhm.
if I really want to commit to over time, I probably wouldn't use it. Just because there's too many technical limitations and hurdles you need to jump over
Mm,
to make something out of it.
right.
That's in line with whatever I've been making. That's not to say anybody using tilt brush is making a bad choice because that could be more wrong. Um, it's a great choice to make
Mm,
a certain art, but this the roof is only so high. At a point, I feel like you can see a tilt brush piece and you'll go, "Oh, that's tilt brush. I know that.
mm,
I can see that." And that's where I get quite frustrated with it because I want to pull away from that. So yeah, sometimes I still use it for some of the still renders, the really high stuff. Um,
mm.
but it's mostly just there to record the movement and the geometry. Once I've got that out, see you later. We're mucking around with other stuff then. And yeah, like I'll hit medium up or gravity sketch pretty often. Um, yeah, lots of
I
stuff.
tried that
And
one
in
first.
VR, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. What do you primarily like? What do you primarily work in now?
all of them, all of
All of
them.
them.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I mean you've got tools, right? You're an artist.
Mhm.
You want to be proficient in as many tools as possible, but also not shit at all of them. So, you know, one at a time. Bang, bang. I want to
Mm,
try this. I want to learn this about this. Progression, volume, and consistency is really important to growing your skills. You don't learn art or creating any sort of workflow doing one project once, but you do learn it when you do 3 or 4 projects and make baby steps along the way. For me, especially, that's just the way I learn. But that's yeah, you build momentum and then you eventually just can't stop.
Yep, yep. Very cool, very cool. I can definitely relate to that. Like with Medium, it was like do it and then just
Yeah,
try it again the next day, try it again the next day. Eventually, I had a head that looked like a head. So
yeah.
that's very, very cool, and I think it's excellent advice. I think we catched all the stuff in chat, so I'm just going to kind of start to go ahead and tie this up. I've got a couple of questions that I plan on asking everyone who comes on the show. So we'll start with our very first one, Giant Swan. Again, guys, thank you so much to everyone who showed up in chat. I really appreciate the support. It's the first time that I'm running the NFT live show myself. So to everyone who showed up, thank you very much for that. And everyone who is chatting and interacting and shared the link, we appreciate that very much. So to get into the last few questions, my first one is going to be, do you have a favorite crypto artist?
I do have a favorite crypto artist, and
Mhm.
his name is X Copy for a few reasons. Um,
Yes.
I know he's very popular, but there's something about Copy's work that always captures me for longer than I expect. I think he's got an amazing eye for observation, and then brings it into his own little world, in a way that you wouldn't be able to
Mhm.
say, "Hey, you make this look this way." He'd do it his own way, and then he'd surprise you no matter what. So I really enjoy catching his work as often as possible.
Yeah, definitely. I love his work. It's very, very cool stuff. It's one of those where I kind of feel that way with Cult Bits, right? Like Cult Bits does like, these really
Hmm.
cool animation gifs. And it's like I can put it on and I can literally just let it ride, sit back in my chair and like just vibe to it. So it's very cool that like someone can do that through their art and then through, obviously he does collaborations with Joe Greg, who's also very like talented, and it's so cool to see like collaborations like that come together. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I'm with you on that one. Xcopy does great work. Do you have a favorite NFT that you currently own? Do you collect NFTs?
I do not.
You do not? Okay. That was
No.
probably a better question to ask first, huh?
Yeah, like actually, no, no, I lied. Actually, I do have a favorite pair of no shot shoes. This from the series one. I've got
Nice.
the butter yellow ones. Um,
Dope.
that's my favorite NFT by a mile. Um,
Very cool.
I don't collect a lot of art purely because I spend more time making it. And I'm like, uh, there's yeah, that's just the role I play, right? I'm an artist. I make art most of the time of the day, and then I bring it to people, and hopefully they check it out. I don't spend enough time exploring other people's art, mostly because I end up absorbing it probably too
Mm,
much. Whether that's maybe especially competitive one day, and I get real fired up, or maybe I just start absorbing things subconsciously, and it comes out in my drawings later. It's something. There's a balance to it, but I don't want to do it without some sort of control. So I don't
mm.
often browse too much NFTs at the moment, mostly because I've got a lot on. But yeah, in between projects, probably a lot more.
Yeah, yeah, that's very cool. I saw actually I feel like the no shot like shoes were one of the first NFTs that I came across when the first time I booted up OpenSea.
Hmm.
And those are so cool, man. Those are so
They're
are
awesome.
they
They're
wearables?
so cool. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
I wasn't sure if they were or
no,
not, and I was like, man, are they wearables
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
no?
For crypto
Yeah.
voxels.
For crypto voxels, right? Yeah, that's so cool. That's so cool. I
Yeah.
think that that is another like thing that has got to be like really difficult is like to create an NFT for a world where people are actually going to be wearing them, but
Hmm.
also in making that like a brand. And I think like No Shot did such a good job with like the sneakers and the kicks. Like they
They
look
did
so good. And
amazing.
yeah, I've only seen I think maybe two other people who have done like the sneaker thing, and it's funny because sometimes I like to play with templates and then like just so like I when I was younger I would literally take like a sneaker template and I would just like mess around with my own like art on the sneaker, and I would think that that would have been something people would do more often, and I started looking through like NFTs and it's actually not something people do very often at all. I think I got one pair of sneakers and the guy's done five or six and I can't remember what his name is, but he did like the Pranksy sneakers and the Rari sneakers. um,
Cool.
but yeah, they were cool, very cool, and they're little animation to them. But yeah, so I definitely see like I'm a sneakerhead. I like sneakers, so I just assumed that that would be something NFTs would happen a lot. But
But that's the
all right,
thing,
and
man.
then
Like there's culture there for everyone to draw
right,
on and bring to this space because it's a pretty natural fit for anything that you're passionate about. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, and I think that's why it hooked me because I was like, I'm a passionate like collector and then like gamer, and it's just like seeing the
Hmm.
use case for NFTs is amazing. And then the art
Yeah.
is just something that happened. I've I've always kind of liked art, but I don't have like the means to collect like real like art.
Hmm.
And then I found this, and I did really well through GPK, and like it gave me some funds, and I started playing with those in crypto art. Man, I've got a little collection, and it's like so hard to like want to let go of anything. I love all the
Well
pieces
done,
that I
man.
collect. Yeah, man,
Well,
it's
they,
amazing.
but like doing that, man, like, I mean, you're stoked because you learned all about art, but like you've helped support a whole bunch of artists with your own collection, man. Like literally helping them out and encouraging them to do their thing. You should be stoked, man. It's good.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm really so, and then I don't, I think of it as like just supporting people that like I just appreciate. Like there's a guy, Anonymous Nobody, like I think he's an excellent father.
Hmm.
Like I think like he is just like just the most down to earth dude. And I'm a dad. I got 3 kids, so like that is a way I connected. And it's like I just wanted to buy some of his art, right? And then you
Yeah,
have
he's
like a
awesome.
Oh, he's so awesome. Yeah, I can't wait to get to chat with him. There's so many people on my list. I've got like 50 artists on my list that I'm like, I just
Nice.
want to talk, and just like hear their stories and what, where they come from and how they got here.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I think the story of how everybody comes across crypto art is cool because it's, or crypto or NFTs, because it's like everyone comes from like a different place. Like you have no idea. Like
Hmm.
for me, it was the digital collectibles. For someone else, it's art. For someone else, it's like, oh, I got into it because I wanted to know about Bitcoin, and then I heard that there was, Garbage Pail Kids, and I love Garbage Pail Kids. So it's
Hmm.
really cool to hear that story about how people got into it. And then kind of leads into my last question for you, and then we can wrap up, which is, where exactly do you think NFTs will be in about 5 years? Do you think that we will continue to grow almost exponentially like we've seen in the last months, or do you think that we'll kind of hit a floor?
I think, and my guess is completely uneducated, but I'd say the wider our community gets, the more accepted and normalized the technology becomes. And I think NFTs will be used for legitimizing everyday products in a way that
Yeah,
we interact with them. So just like the way we look at the back of a box of cereal, I think in the future we'll be looking at the NFT data of our clothes or our food or
hmm,
your new phone or anything like that. I think that's going to normalize a lot of things. The art market, I think, over time, the stronger it gets, the again that just gets normalized again, and we find homes and maybe the art exists not just in virtual spaces but also real spaces much more often. So
hmm,
yeah, I think there's nothing but growth on the horizon for us for sure.
absolutely. Yeah, I think that last part like would be just, it instantly made me think like how cool it'd be if you got to, because I don't know like about where you're at, but like, here they just started opening up in the States. They just started opening up these like VR locations where you can go and like throw on a VR headset and then like run around in a warehouse, right? But
Yep.
it's like a Star Wars game or something. And I could
Yeah.
totally imagine like going to an art exhibit where you walk in, they give you a VR headset, you put the VR headset on, and you experience the entire exhibit in VR, and with all the crazy stuff that can happen in the music and the visuals combined. And so I think that's what's most exciting, and I think that we're coming
We're
to a
already
point in
doing it,
like,
man. That's the
yeah,
thing.
that's true. Crypto voxels and
Yeah,
stuff,
like
right? Like,
no, like the show in Rome this week that I'm doing is I have a VR installation there where people can chuck a headset on and walk around my sculptures.
really?
Pretty, yeah, man. You jump into the
Wow.
worlds and check them out. So like this stuff is there. It's just got to grow to a wider audience.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Yep.
over
Yeah,
time,
it's all about
one person at a time,
accepting it.
man.
Yeah, I think that's a great like way to put it. Just one person at a time. Like I think that also points out like the main hurdle, I think, which is onboarding. I think like that's the biggest thing. Like I've got two
Mhm.
friends that I've told about crypto art, and both I've literally only two friends I've talked to NFTs about in my real life, because I feel like too many people just not get it. But both of
Yeah.
them were so interested. But then when they actually went to onboard and try to like start collecting, it was just like they gave up. They were like, "Fuck, this is too
Yeah.
much." Like, like I don't want to have like, what is private keys? I have to write this down. Like people hate writing things down these days, So,
The,
uh,
the interaction is natural, right? But the
mhm.
process and all the jingle and buzzwords aren't. So as we normalize over time, that'll those barriers get lower. Like because once you get down to the nitty gritty, if you can explain it to people without having to say blockchain and crypto and stuff like that, chances are their eyes won't glaze over, and and then they'll see it for what it is, and they'll be really stoked. But yeah, totally
Yeah.
agree with you. That's something that's hopefully changing over time. That's something the Nifty Gateway do really well as well.
Hmm.
Um,
I agree.
the way that they're moving NFTs is super accessible for everyone.
Yeah, to have like the front end just be straight up USD, it kind of bit me in the butt the first week because I had nothing but ETH. But yeah, like I think it's excellent, and I think that that is the primary hurdle. Like when you can create an experience where somebody can get on Nifty, like create an account and like get straight in and buy, right? Like you don't have to explain that it's on the chain or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
which is definitely where we're going to get eventually. It just takes some time. So. But Swan, thank you so much for your time tonight, man. I am super
No,
stoked
dude,
about your
thank you for
drops
having
tomorrow.
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
no, I
definitely.
really appreciate it, man. And you've done an awesome job. I can't wait to see your growth as an interviewer, man. It's
Thank
gonna
you
be
so
awesome.
much, man. I appreciate that. You have an excellent night, Giant Swan, and we will. I'll chat with you on Twitter, and I look forward to the drop tomorrow. Take
Sounds
care.
good. See you guys there.